Nomads, and welcome to 113. That is the number for this episode. I think that's it's crazy just being that far past 100. But my name is Brandon. I am your host, and for today we have a heist going on. I'm not by myself. I'm also here with Eric, aka Mr. Brown.
You gonna bark all day, little doggy, or are you gonna bite?
Good line. And
I'm Mr. Blonde.
Hey, and Mr. Blonde, aka Dave.
Torture you. That's a good idea. I like that.
And
Sicko.
the new guy, Mr. Orange, Bill from A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, guys. And if you shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
Now that's
Beautiful.
dude. That was Harvey Keitel, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, he's so
One of
good
his
in
first,
this way.
it was right in the beginning.
Yeah, we are quoting the, I think, great movie Reservoir Dogs by Quentin Tarantino. This is his freshman, this is his debut.
Directorial
movie.
debut. Yes, sir.
Yep.
More or less. He had
Okay.
he had a co-writing. I found out that he co-wrote and co-produced a movie right before this that he released with
Okay.
a buddy, but it the reels of film got burned in a fire and they had to release it as a 36-minute short film with what they could salvage. Crazy
Really?
weird side fact from
Okay.
this week's investigations.
So this is the third Tarantino movie that we've talked about. The first one we did was early on in the show, which was
Once Upon a Time.
Once
in
Upon a Time in
Hollywood.
Hollywood. Thank you.
That was
And
a
then
fun one, too.
time goes by, and then we did The Hateful Eight,
Yep.
and now this. And
Reservoir
those were
Dogs.
his newer movies. So going back and actually kind of seeing where did he get his name from, right? And hell of a start. Now, Eric, I put this out on social media. I thought I would get more love. Only a few people chewed on this, and it makes me wonder though. Has it been it's been a while since I've seen it last. I wonder if it's been a long time since people have seen this movie. It's yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Never went back to see it again.
Yeah, we got a couple comments over on the Twitters at Nomads of Fantasy. Just two this time. The Crusty Boy said, well, every time I hear Stuck in the Middle with You, I have to do that little dance. Which, yeah, I mean, that,
To do it.
yeah,
It is
Have
good.
to.
that song. Yep.
Required.
That song, that scene, everything about it. And Richer Solution says, loved it. Soundtrack, storytelling, cast, look, feel. There you go. Our
Okay.
short little
That's it.
social section.
I like
good
the
summary.
bulleted approach of how to review something.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. I didn't have to read anything.
Oh, wait. Hold on 1 second. I
Oh.
am forgetting some very important comments from our
Holy shit.
Discord. How could I forget that?
You're gonna
that's
say we
right.
got an email. I almost shat myself.
No.
Yeah.
Over on our Discord at nomadsoffantasy.com or at thenomadsoffantasy.com/Discord if you want to join there. Our good buddy Tejas over there says, on Reservoir Dogs, this was a movie that made me understand the power of dialogue in a script. A well-written script can make or break a movie, and Tarantino delivered in his first outing as a director. For a movie that takes place primarily in 2 rooms, which feels very like a stage play, is amazing. The acting in this movie is top-notch. Final 5 minutes solidified the movie as top tier in the robbery genre. If you listen closely to the audio, once Mr. Pink runs out the door, it's clear what happens to him. Yes, thank
Wait,
you.
what happened to him?
I don't know.
Put a
Maybe
pin
we'll
in
find
that,
out
okay?
later
I feel like
as we
everyone's
talk about
so-
it.
I feel like I need to go
Confident.
back and watch that again.
Yeah, well, you gotta watch movies with subtitles, man.
I
'cause
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did? At the end of the movie, they show you in the subtitles what's going on.
There's
that scene.
there's a little it's implied what happens, what his fate is. Also Chris Logan says I've always said that about Reservoir Dogs and Memento, another movie in a director's filmography. All you need to make a movie is a tight script. Tarantino does it again with Hateful Eight. I think that and Reservoir Dogs would make great stage adaptations since there's very few settings. Which I feel like we've touched on that a bit when we talked about Hateful Eight, and we've touched
We
on
did.
that a lot in previous episodes of movies that take place in like one location, because you kind of get to know that location a little bit more, and it becomes like a character in the movie. So this had that as well.
Nobody cares
Yeah.
if there's gasoline spilled all over the goddamn place. Everybody just thinks that's fine.
Yeah. So this is rounding off, I think, the end of July, going into August here in 2023. We got a couple projects going on in the background for the show. So I don't know what you want to release, what's coming up, if your people are playing along with us, Dave, but
Well, they can't play along with us because we're taking a break. Not really a
don't
break.
Just
panic,
from-
not a long.
No.
Yes, just from
You
the
won't even
weeklies.
notice.
Let's say the main show is just hitting the back burner, and we're gonna put out some side content for a little bit.
Mhm.
Each do our own thing. Get out there, stretch our legs, see what else is out there. There'll be some episodes coming out here and there, but we'll be coming back in September. With new
Yeah, just a few
website,
weeks.
some new fancy new things. You never know what'll happen in the month of August.
Bill, I know you live in the
plans.
South, but you know the North, right? Like, our summers are
Yes.
short. And here in Western New York, like, we really get like half of June, July, August, and beginning of September. And then it starts getting cold.
See, we have the exact opposite problem here in Texas, where it's hot endlessly. Today felt cooler and more comfortable because it was 97 as opposed to
Cool
the
and
104,
comfortable.
105 it's been for the last. It's not cool and comfortable. People ask me sometimes from back east, "Hey, are you used to the heat?" And the answer is no, I'm not. No,
Never get
100
used to
degrees
it.
is hot. I don't care who you are or how acclimated you are. I've been here for 10 years. It's still really hot and uncomfortable and awful. So
Yeah.
I'll take the
Don't-
cold.
I don't
I
blame
feel
you.
like
You-
that's the
you need-
opposite with the cold, because I feel like we are used to the cold since we live through it, but
But you
people
don't get used to the cold wind in January, man. You
not
just,
not
that is-
well the wind,
well,
yeah, the cold wind in
bone
your
chilling
face.
cold.
But like people come
By the
up
time-
here and they're like it's 60 degrees and they're like it's so cold. I'm like that's shorts weather to me, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
By the time
that's,
it's
that's
like-
beautiful.
March rolls around, you go out, you're going outside in shorts and it's like 30, 35
Oh,
degrees
yeah.
outside, and like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. You get thick,
Well,
thick
that's the
blood.
Yeah, and the other side of it too is I'll have people also, they know from out east originally. I'm from the northern New Jersey area. And I moved out here, 10 years ago or so. And they'll say, well, you're used to the cold, right? When the rare occasion it hits like 20 degrees. And it's like, 20 is still cold.
20 is still
It's
cold.
Still
It is.
cold.
Yeah.
That's the temperature is still there. I'm still a human being that lives in this world. I don't know. So it's all relative. But yeah, 60 degrees is like, oh man.
Yeah.
Sounds so good.
Perfect.
Doesn't happen
it's
anymore.
windows open sleeping weather
Yes. Oh,
Mm.
yes.
Nice cool breeze, yeah.
back in those days.
Nope.
Yeah. So, anyways, we talk about that because to us, it's just being realistic, right? It's hard to edit the show, get the show out every week, and then enjoy the summer. So, just being honest with people, not a long break, honestly. You won't even notice. I went and saw Indiana Jones. I'm going to drop an episode about that relatively soon. Eric and I like to do our little side shows, so
Yep.
keep an eye out for that, or ear, if you're just listening to the show. So don't panic. I don't like that when a podcast is like, hey, we're done. This is the last episode. Like, what the fuck? You didn't give us like a heads up? That's happened. So I don't want people to panic there. Also, join our Discord. That's always active. There's always people dropping in and stuff like that. So that's good.
Yeah, and if
we're
you
always
really-
going. We're
I
more
mean,
than a podcast.
If you really want to know, be the first one to know what's going on with us in the show, the Discord is probably the best place to find that stuff out. So
Oh yeah.
the nomadsoffantasy.com/discord.
Yeah. All right, enough of this. Guys are constantly yapping. We got work to do, right? That was my Joe impression.
Very nice.
In my head, it sounded.
You got to get more gravelly. You got to get.
You don't want to talk. Just listen up.
That's goddamn right. Gotta really get like that stuff in the
Yeah,
back of your
it was
throat
good.
jiggling.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta. Like I was at a concert or something like that. It's the end of the night.
Yeah,
voices
just shot.
Yeah.
Had nothing but cigars and cigarettes for my entire life.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, you gotta have that accent. We got work to do. Guess what it says?
Yeah,
Work.
work to do.
We got white.
Wait.
All right. All right. Yeah. Let's take a break. We'll end Act 1, and when we come back, we'll dig into Reservoir Dogs. right, we're back. I had to think about my Joe impression there. You guys know what to do. Stay with your man. Do your job. And we're done. All right. Which means let's talk about Reservoir Dogs. I think this movie came out in 1992.
2 years before I was born.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, which reminds me. So Bill, who's from a Gamer Looks at 40. Right, did I get that backwards? Gamer Looks at 40.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah. So and Dave and I are 42. We're roughly the same age. But Eric is a wee lad. He's not even 30 yet.
Almost.
And
A wee lad, are you?
yeah. And yeah, this is the first time you're seeing this one, right, Eric?
It is. I've been wanting to see this one for a long time now. I mean, Tarantino, as you guys know, I mean, we've done a couple Tarantino movies in the past, so I've expressed this before on the podcast, but Tarantino has always been one of my favorites ever since I saw Kill Bill when I was way too young. You know, I probably saw it when I was, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, around there somewhere. And ever since then, I was hooked on Tarantino, you know. So I've been a big fan of his for a while, and I just never got around to Reservoir Dogs for whatever reason, you know, it just never came up. But yeah, I'm glad that I finally watched it, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's different. You can see like the beginnings of Tarantino in it. Like
there's definitely some Tarantino staples in this movie. That's for sure. Yeah. Including the language.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about some of the language.
This fucking thing and that fucking broad and this fucking
the F words, like, the N words.
So
yeah.
many.
Oh yeah.
Oof, yeah.
Yep.
More than I remembered, which it was funny. But I was looking at kind of the making of this movie, and he said good acting and a good script would not be enough to make this movie as good as it is. He said it was all about the style that I brought. And he says, yes, I totally ripped off a scene from a movie. Some movie in Hong Kong. And like the last 10 minutes with the whole Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
He said, I love that. I want that. But he said, if I'm going to make a whole movie about that 10-minute scene. And that's kind of what he does. And yeah, he messes around with the order of stuff to tell his story. So that's a staple of his, but he said it was all about the style. It's the music, it's the characters, the things they talk about.
There's a couple different things, like the naming conventions. It says here directly lifted from the original, The Taking of Pelham 123, where the criminals did the same thing. And there's another one about Kansas City Confidential. So he picks and he chooses, even like his new movies where Kill Bill, where he's taken like the old 70s movies and kind of remaking them for today, or Hateful Eight, where he's kind of taking the Western theme and kind of remaking it in his own kind of style, which is
newer movies. Cool. Kill Bill's coming up on its 20th anniversary this year, which is insane.
I can't believe that. I can't believe it. That's brutal. It's brutal. Tarantino, he's like you said, he's a genre guy, and he's the world's best cover artist because he elevates the genres that he sends up. And what I love about Reservoir Dogs is that it's his take on the hard-boiled heist caper, and it's such a, like you said, it has so much of him in it, especially with dialogue and building characters through dialogue and characters doing things. He's very adept at that, but he's a well-studied movie guy. Like
for sure.
He's a movie guy, and he has this depth of information and depth of knowledge about movies that he just inserts in. And it's why actually my favorite movies of his is Jackie Brown, which is an unpopular pick. It's probably still my favorite Tarantino movie. I love Jackie Brown because it's a send up of blaxploitation movies, but it feels like a very original script, even though it's an adaptation from a book. But yeah, he's just so adept at that. Yeah, if Jackie Brown's an it's the only thing he's done that was actually an adaptation of something. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think it's a book he was going to write and publish, and then he turned it into a movie.
Okay.
I think.
Well, either way, that movie is
But yeah,
good. It's got a lot of his
Oh.
style.
so good.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Yeah.
only other Tarantino movie I haven't seen is Jackie Brown at this point. So
It's
Okay.
so good.
I know
It's a
Gotta check
slow
that out.
burn. It's a slow burn, but
I feel
yeah,
like most
Gail
of
Bondsman, yeah.
most of his movies are slow burns, including this one. I mean, it starts out, obviously it starts out with the whole breakfast scene, which was good. I liked that character building. You got to kind of know each one of the guys. We get introduced to them and kind of their personalities and stuff. Which I guess originally he just added that scene. It wasn't part of like the original script. He added that
The
scene.
diner.
Yeah, the diner, the beginning one.
Wait, with the whole tipping stuff?
Yeah, because he
Dude,
added
it's like my favorite scene in the movie. Really?
one of the reasons he added that scene was because of like Mr. Blue didn't have any other dialogue throughout the entire movie, so he wanted to give his character an opportunity to have some sort of dialogue.
Why was
and
Mr.
interaction with
Blue
the other.
in this movie?
That
Honestly?
was
Why
one of
he
the
there?
parts that I was
It makes
wondering.
no
he
sense.
he didn't do anything.
He was part of the crew, but I don't know.
He was part of the crew,
Okay,
but he
adds-
didn't get his own explicit like backstory. He didn't get really
No.
barely any screen time.
He's killed off
It's
screen.
the-
You don't even.
the mystery of the whole movie, because it goes from like the setting up of the heist to like the end where you see like the horrible ending of the heist, but it's the mystery of like what the fuck happened, how did this shit go
Yeah.
so wrong, that like pulls you through the whole movie, so you're wondering like
And they don't show you everything.
no. And then, like, who's gonna show
Nope.
up? Who's gonna walk through the door? Who's still alive?
love
who's
that.
still dead? Like, that's what keeps you like enraptured and like sucked into this film.
Which is really funny
It's good.
because I'm sure all of us have read up on this movie, but like since I hadn't seen it, I was trying to do some more reading on some of the production stuff, and this movie was made on a shoestring budget. Originally Tarantino had like his camera and like $50,000 or something, and then he partnered up with Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel came on as co-producing the film, so that brought in and got him up to 1.5 million for the budget. But like this,
Oh, really?
yeah. So this movie was made on a very, very tight budget, and one of the initial reasons, anyways, that Tarantino decided not to show the heist was because of budgetary restrictions. But then he kind of just worked it in and liked the idea more and more of not showing it and just getting pieces of the story throughout the movie and through the dialogue, which I think makes it a stronger movie anyways. I mean, I think it would have been cool to see the heist, but like, I don't think we needed to,
Yeah,
No,
I think people's I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, so I was like, their characters' reactions to the heist are more powerful than heist itself because, like you said, on that limited budget, it would have been terrible. What would it have, like? You got to get a set. You got to clear. You have to get a set. You have to clear out. You got to pay people to do things, crew, all sorts of stuff. Keeping it basically in 2 rooms, like you said, basically 1 room essentially, really limits the scope, but allows you to be very focused. And this is a very focused, tight movie that feels very loose and fun because of how good the actors are and how good the dialogue is and how natural everything feels. So it's a really cool marriage of, again, this natural dialogue and this very simple setup that's given to you in these very well-paced dribs and drabs. It's really pulls you along beautifully for a first movie. It's incredible for a first movie.
Yeah.
I love hearing like the weird production things when on movies that are done this cheap, because some of the corners that they cut like are really cool, like the Mr. Pink stealing the car after the robbery or whatever. Like they didn't have enough money to stop street traffic, so they had to wait until the light turned green to actually film that scene.
No
because they're
fucking
doing
way.
it in like live
Really?
real traffic. Like it's
Mhm.
fucking it's
Wow.
crazy.
I love Mr. Pink. He is my favorite, and
It's the
any
smartest
scene
one.
he's in,
Steve Buscemi is just like,
he's
Come on.
so good.
come on.
Genius.
He's so good.
He's so young in this. It's weird to see him back when I don't know. He still looks the same, obviously. He's still got the Steve Buscemi eyes and whatnot, but like I don't know. He's all smooth and young. He's got that baby face to him again.
Yeah. Going back to Bill's point about how it was, how it's a very tight movie. Like I wasn't expecting it to be so short. I mean, the runtime is only like a little over 90 minutes. And I'm like, wow, okay. I didn't know. Like, it was nearing the end of the movie, and I'm like, I feel like there's still a lot of loose ends that they have to tie up with these characters. And, how is this all going to play out? And then obviously we know in like the last 5 minutes of the movie, it all kind of comes to a head, which
Literally,
is like, yeah,
yeah.
it's that last scene is incredible. But yeah, I almost wish it was. I guess I don't know. I was left wanting a little bit more, but I think that's kind of the beauty of the film is that it is short. It's a simple story, and they kind of get in and out with it. He doesn't really, there's a lot of dialogue in this movie, which again is a Tarantino staple, but all of the dialogue is meaningful. There's no wasted lines or scenes in this movie, which I think makes
There's
it.
some weird ones in there. I don't know. Tarantino, like, there's so much dialogue in Tarantino movies. I think he says shit just to say shit sometimes, like
I
conversations.
think it's all
that people
character
have.
That's what
development.
makes him.
But it
But that's
is-
what makes him relate because like everyone
It
in
is
his
like
movies,
natural, yeah.
I think this is one of the secret like ingredients he has where he makes characters instantly like relatable. Like I feel like I know these guys by the end of the movie. I like truly feel like I know them. Like I just saw Indiana Jones, but I don't feel like I know Indiana Jones.
Right.
Everyone was so stoic. Everyone is so like Andor, right? And when we watch Andor, I keep telling people online, as good as the show is, every character is very flat. They are just emotionless, angry, oppressed people. And it's beautiful, but don't tell me that they're acting like. And then you go see something that Tarantino does, and you got guys who are losing their cool, and then they're getting it under control, being fragile, crying, hugging, laughing, cracking jokes, like trying to fit in. Like everything he does in this movie, I think, is a masterpiece when it comes to like getting these characters to feel real. I don't know. I just think watching his movies, then go watch something else. Then to me, it's
Dude,
night and day.
To your point, the characters feeling real, like the acting from everybody. I mean, everybody in this movie like brought their best to these roles. Like they all felt so raw. Like I feel like in some of the scenes there were like mistakes or like they kind of flubbed up their lines a little bit because they were getting so emotional and into the dialogue that it felt natural. It felt like two people actually talking, having an argument or whatever, realistic conversation, so I think that made it even better and it fleshed out the characters even more and it made it feel more realistic, like you were saying.
But like when Pink shows up to White, because like White is taking care of Orange, and we're so obsessed with that scene. Like, what is going on? Oh my God! This starts with this guy like dying. You feel really bad for him. Incredible acting, and then we're like, all right, what? Pink's like, yo, we got to get the fuck out of here. We got to be professionals. Like something's up. There's a fucking rat. I know there is. Something's wrong. We got to go. And just the way they go is like wash your face and calm down. It's just a long scene, but like I get so much enjoyment out of seeing these two guys panicking and then kind of calming the other one down and figuring out what the fuck just happened, because we're trying to figure out what just happened, and just seeing those two going back and forth, I loved it. It gets to the point where like they're punching each other, and then Blonde shows up and it's just like, I think it's perfectly executed, and every time somebody shows up it's like that was about the right time somebody needed to show up.
You're instantly like sucked into the conflict between the characters, because it feels so real. It's almost like watching like two people argue in real life, because like I don't know, if two people are arguing out in public in real life or something, you're probably gonna stand there and watch, like it's just curiosity. Like, what are these people talking about? What are they arguing about? So I get that feeling when I'm watching this movie. I'm like, I want to know what happens next.
But there's a really tricky thing to that because, just like Dave said, he overwrites. Tarantino overwrites, but his writing is so good, it's okay. If anybody else tried to do that, it would come off very amateurish. It wouldn't work. But his writing is so good, and his visualization of the characters are so strong because they are simple, but they're strong. When they are going on these long conversations about Madonna songs and dick, all that sort of thing, it feels very natural, but it is overwritten, but again, no one else could do it quite like him. And boy, oh boy, that opening scene at the diner. I can't imagine this movie without that because it's such a load-bearing scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's when we start to love our psychopaths.
Right.
Reservoir Dogs, and Tarantino's very good at this. He's great at making lovable psychopaths. It's kind of the Soprano
true.
situation where Tony Soprano is likable and affable and you want to hang out with him. And he's a sociopath and he kills people. And Walter White is the same thing in Breaking Bad. You kind of like Walter White, even though he breaks bad.
Not towards the end.
No one should love Walter White. Really, I can get into a whole Breaking Bad situation. It's
That's another conversation.
Oh, that's another conversation. That's 2 hours right there.
Great show.
But these people are criminals and you are rooting for them to do well. Like they are robbing a diamond store. And it's just that wonderful mix of, hey, let's get into the chair. In that opening scene, you are in the chair looking at these characters. They're telling jokes and you're looking at Tarantino telling his story and you're looking at these reactions and you're so immediate right there in the conversation.
On that one is really low and you're at like about shoulder length as it's panning around the table and like that's like the perfect metaphor for it right there. You're at the table.
It's very intimate. So within 3 minutes you like all these characters because they're fun, they're funny, they've got opinions and they're talking like we're talking. They're just shooting the breeze. So.
Except for Mr. Pink. I don't like his tipping stand.
His philosophy on tipping, just throw a buck in, dude.
No, Pink is right.
No,
Pink is absolutely right.
He does have a good point.
He makes a strong argument, but
Tipping's out of control nowadays. Everything's swiping. They always say 50%. I'm like,
they do default.
I ordered from Moe's
true.
the other day, and they had 15% checked by default when I was ordering on the app.
Listen,
I'm like, get the fuck out! Come on.
If you didn't provide me, I mean, I do agree with him on some points, but like waitresses, I will always tip 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Unless they do something egregiously bad, But these tipping at like Chipotle or something, or like Panera. Like, what did you took my order and did it on a cash register? No,
he makes a good point. Line. That's their job, and I'm sorry, but that's your job.
So you don't tip waitresses, Brandon?
No, I do tip because society tells me to, and I tip well. I tip. I'm just with Pink. I mean, I hate tipping. I don't get it because like I provide a service.
It is, but
I provide a service for people, and I rarely get an extra on top of what I did for them.
They aren't making minimum wage, which is the fallacy about waitressing. Because when I was waiting tables, we made like $4 or $5 an hour, and then you got to like make up the rest of it with tips. Like, hope you have a fucking good night, shit like that.
So why don't they just change it so they are paid minimum wage?
That's
because they get tips.
Matt Stone and Trey Parker just bought Casa Bonita in Denver. I guess they've had it on South Park a couple times, but they actually did that where they pay people like, if you're a waitress, you just make $60,000 a year, and that's what you make. Like, you don't get tips. Like,
I'm okay with
some
that.
people didn't like it. Some people could make more, but I don't know. It's just something funny.
Yeah,
I agree with you. They should just pay him regular.
These are. Billy made a good point, right? So these are supposed to be people by society's terms. Like, we should not like these people, right? These are bad guys. These are the guys that are going around robbing places, shooting people up, right? Shooting cops.
Criminals,
we shouldn't like them.
Parolees.
But we see about their personality, and like you see some code of ethics amongst the thieves, kind of thing, which is what draws us in, right? Dave always says all the time, the Han Solo character, where he's like a scoundrel with a heart of gold, right? And you kind of get that with with White, right, Mr. White.
Yes.
Like there's a decent man there, but he will do what he has to do to get through the job, cutting people's fingers off, robbing whatever, shooting cops.
People's fingers off. It's good, but yeah, like I mean, you see it when Mr. Blonde goes psycho. Like he's visibly, physically upset about him shooting just random people. Like that's the fucking line that he crossed. That you do not do that. But it is true. Like that's why I felt like this is. You could tell that this is Quentin some of his earlier work because literally every character in this is kind of just like a alpha bro racist criminal. Like they all have that same archetype, but there's like different versions. Like there's not even like, is there a woman in this movie anywhere? Like there's one that gets pulled out of a car and shot.
There's one that gets pulled out of a car. That's about it.
Like,
and the other lady gets shot.
One shot and one shoots orange.
Yeah.
I can't see women
in the line.
This feels like a dude's movie though to me. Like it is about a bank robbery. The language in it is, rough as a lot of Tarantino movies are, but it's the lack of female representation. I could see women not really enjoying.
There was
this
no
movie as
women's
much,
feet
but I like
in this movie.
There's what?
I looked it up. There are no women's feet in this movie. I was a piece of my research for this particular podcast, gents. I want to make sure. No feet. Interesting.
Weirdly creepy, but
No feet.
It's his thing. It's a
Yeah, I
feetless
think
film.
he started that in Pulp Fiction, maybe.
Yeah.
Did he? What was the feet in the foot massages? I got
Tarantino always has to have women's feet. Watch
we were talking about Dust Till Dawn
Hollywood
recently.
Mhm.
Where he wrote the character to suck tequila off a woman's foot as it's getting poured down her leg, and then he cast himself in that role.
Yeah,
which is even funnier.
Right.
Yeah, he's got some weird stuff to him, but
he's a weird guy.
He can write a fuck of a script.
Yeah.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Yeah. I would say another thing that he's really good at is music. I remember he was one of the first directors where when I watched his movie, it made me just see things I never really saw in a movie before, and it was like his use of music. So I remember watching Pulp Fiction first. I think that was the first movie I saw, and I remember the music just being so fun and just from the start, like what is this song? I was like, what is this song? This is so catchy. And it's like an old ass song. I'm like, and people are like, oh yeah, this is Tarantino's thing. Dude loves he's always pulling things that influence him, and music is a big part of it. And I'm like, because you watch other movies and just throw new songs in the movie to kind of help sell the song through the movie. Mm-hmm. But when you get a guy like this, he's like Scorsese does with
he doesn't give a shit.
The Stones, yeah. So he's pulling these. So this movie, what was the song "Stuck in the Middle with You"? There's a couple other songs that are really good
in the beginning. When I was at film school back when I was in my 20s, one of my rhetoric teachers, they're talking about sound in films and whatever, and he's explaining how music can have an effect on things. So they showed a video of him just walking down the street or something like that, just complete silence. It just looks like a dude walking down the street. Add a background music to it with him walking down the street, and all of a sudden that just normal scene just becomes fucking really cool.
You can also make it how stuff. Yeah, you can make that scene however you want it to be, depending on the type of music. If it's tense, suspenseful music, maybe something's about to happen to this guy. If it's happy, cheerful music, this guy is having a great time. So music definitely.
But
definitely helps.
In this movie, it seems like sometimes the music is in the world, and I really like that. So there's a scene where Mr. Orange is in his apartment just before he goes out to do the job, and he's psyching himself up and all that stuff, and he's listening to music, and then he turns the music off. I'm like, oh, okay, he turned it off. And then the same thing happens with Blonde, Mr. Blonde, and when he's torturing the police officers, I gotta get something out of my car, and he's listening to that song he was dancing to, "Stuck in the Middle with You," and then the camera just follows him.
And because he turned on the radio, in the warehouse.
Yeah, and the door closed, and oh my god!
When you come back, there's no music then, huh?
Nope.
I didn't notice that.
But when he's done with the car, he goes back. You hear him walking, winds, birds, kids playing in the background. It's but we know what's going on inside that fucking warehouse. And then the music goes on, and it's supposed to be joyful stuff, but this is a very horrible scene.
It is weird,
this guy, and
the dichotomy of the music, the Little Green Bag song when they're doing the slow-mo walk when they're all wearing their suits. That's, you said something about the style that Tarantino brought, and that just oozes. It's such a cool little beat to it, and kind of it's got a little upbeat to it, and makes it fun. Or even playing happy music when you're torturing people.
Well, it's very intentional, right? And it's also that scene, of course, the famous ear cutting off scene with Mr. Blonde. I always get the names wrong. Mr. Blonde, Mike Madsen. It's so intentional because you have this happy bouncy song, and you have this character who, of all the characters, is clearly the most wild, but he's not even that wild. He's not traditional creepy, scary, crazy person. he just really enjoys inflicting pain on people for a purpose, where everybody else are these professionals, where it's their job. Like, it's Harvey Keitel's job to do this. It's like, he doesn't want to go forward. But when you have that music, stuck in the middle with you, and he's kind of bopping along to it while he's slashing you with a straight razor, it's this really cool dichotomy that's uncomfortable but oddly fun. And Tarantino has said in interviews a number of times how about violence in movies, because that's always a big thing whenever a Tarantino movie comes out. His thing is violence can be fun. Like, this stuff is sometimes really fun, and that scene is a really good encapsulation of that, using character and music to really create a scene that's tense but still kind of fun. It plays with your brain in a lot of weird ways. That's why it's so good.
I think especially the violence during the scene, it's more like Tarantino obviously later is more known for like over the top, like unrealistic violence. But in this movie, it feels real. It feels raw. It feels like, intentional. And apparently during like one of the initial screenings of this movie, like at the Sundance Film Festival or whatever, Wes Craven actually walked out of the screening of this movie because it was too like intense, like violence for him.
Come on,
funny.
is that
No
true?
shit.
That is true.
outta
Apparently,
here.
allegedly.
Creepy shit, doesn't he?
So
But
Tarantino said there's one scene he shot 2 versions of, and it was the cutting of the ear. So there's the version that we saw. And there's another version which was behind the officer's back, and you see him grab the ear and cutting the ear off.
right.
I wonder if he saw that version in the screen.
Could have been. I think
That clip on YouTube was like, wow, that's
apparently there was an interview, or Tarantino later said, or someone said that the reason he walked out, or Wes Craven was defending himself, saying like, it was the use of violence, making it like fun and, like you said, sort of like playful a little bit, rather than like, making a point with it. But I could go
Wes
either
Craven's wrote Scream films. He wrote
There's a
Nightmare on Elm Street.
horror movies.
Wes Craven's like the
He's got
father of
some-
horror.
He's got
One of
some
the greats.
Yeah, that's a lot of I don't know. I don't know. That's weird. That's a weird.
Yeah,
weird
I thought
reason
that
to
was
walk
an
out.
Well,
interesting.
Tarantino, I don't know. He did a
One
good
too many
job with, I think,
F-bombs.
the violence on this. I don't think it was over the top. I think he
No.
gets a little bit. So I want to go back to Mr. Blonde only because what's interesting is how he shows off Mr. Blonde. He's handsome, he's cool, he's calm, he's collected. He seems
This is when
just like a
Michael Madsen was
standard-
still handsome.
yeah.
Now he's looking a little rough.
Sure.
Not great.
Yeah, but in this role, like he's really cool with the way he smokes cigarette. Every time I see it, the way he like sucks in the smoke, and like I don't know, it's like I don't smoke cigarettes, but he makes me want to smoke a cigarette just to play around with smoke. Like he's just
The smoke puffs. Yeah.
very. I
The way
can't stop watching him.
The way he drinks a soda and leans on a wall. Like that is some
Oh, yeah.
cool guy shit right there.
Yeah, very cool in this role. But I love how cool he is and everything that they're saying about him. This fucking guy, this fucking psychopath, this is the fucking, like the way they talk about, we don't know. It's like, you see what he did? Yeah, he just shot that black girl. Just shot her. How old do you think she was? 20, 21 at most? And it's just like, yeah. Like, what did he do? And even still, when he comes in, he's still cool. And he tortures the cop, and he's very like calm about it. It's like, this is how because it's like Jaws, right? Like not seeing the shark lets your brain go wild. Like, what did he do? What was he? He was just shooting up like like just innocent people. Like, this guy's a scumbag. What we don't see a scumbag up until torturing the cop at that point. It just seems like a normal guy, but you're hearing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I was expecting him to kick down the door like, let's kill, and he's not. He's just like, I got a little treat for everybody. Let's go check it out. And he's like drinking soda and shit. It's just,
Well, that's the thing
I don't know.
about this
It's
movie
very
too.
nice.
Like throughout
Well done.
it, each character has their perception of another character, and it, like you said, it's the same how they perceived Mr. Blonde, and like how Mr. White is always protecting Mr. Orange, and stuff like that. So every character has their perception of each other, because they're constantly trying to figure out who's the rat. So they're trying to look for reasons of why someone would have ratted them out, or something in their character that's giving them away. So,
We don't know the rat though,
Right.
until
That's
like
the-
halfway,
Until
right?
later,
when
right.
we get Orange's story.
About halfway.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's the good twist. How did you like that twist, Eric?
That
Like,
one,
did you know who it was?
no,
before?
I had no idea.
You couldn't figure it out.
Who do you
Okay.
think it was?
I didn't really have any idea. I was just kind of along for the ride.
Blue, Mr.
you know.
Blue.
Mr. Blue,
that
yeah.
fucking guy.
I thought it might have been, Mr. Blue or Mr. Brown, because they weren't really in the picture at that point, so they might have been off doing something with the cops or whatever. But like, no, that whole Mr. Orange reveal, I was not expecting that at all, and I think that was a cool twist, because like the guy dying on a floor with a gunshot in his gut was not the one you're expecting to be the rat,
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So it just comes out of nowhere. And like when Mr. Blonde was about to set the other cop on fire, at the point where Mr. Orange takes out his gun and shoots down Mr. Blonde, I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't know at that point. You still don't know he's a cop. I thought maybe he was just had a change of heart and was,
Or had a code.
right, was
Mhm.
defending
Like,
this
burn him.
cop or whatever. Or he was just out of his mind because he was dying and he didn't know what he was doing. Because there was
Right.
the way he was holding the gun, it didn't seem like he was like in the right headspace. So I was like, maybe he's just like, gone crazy. But then it was revealed that he's a cop, and I'm like, oh, that's a really good.
Do you think
Really
they
good
could have
twist.
done more with Orange's backstory though? Like having a
Dude, I thought it was-
daughter or a
Well,
wife or anything like
I think
that?
they did
I don't know.
enough.
It was-
I don't know.
It
made him-
would probably take too much to get to that, but I really like the section where it shows him like learning the story and going undercover,
Yeah.
because as he's telling the story, you get it from like him talking to the cop, and then him practicing it at home, and then him actually being good at it, and then it just like as he's finishing the story, he's finishing it to Joe and the rest of the crew. It was
Mhm.
a cool like way to see him ingrain himself into the crew, like how he got in there and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was
Was it like nice
Super
nice
cool
guy?
section.
Like, wait, why would this guy need weed at a train? I don't know. He was in a hurry. I don't know. Forget
It's-
about it.
And I was watching a video the other day, and it was a former undercover cop talking about undercover cops in movies, and they bring up Reservoir Dogs, and the person on the video basically said that the way Tim Roth prepares is very accurate, because when you go undercover, you need to build your fiction. You need to build your story. You need to know everything about your fake self. That way, when you're in that situation, someone throws you a curveball. Well, why was he doing there? You can react in a natural way. So evidently, it's very accurate to how a police officer would prepare for an undercover mission. And that progression is really good, because you see the progression of you basically see him preparing for the role, right? He's sitting there on book and he's reading the story and he's reading the joke over and over. And just like Samuel Jackson says to him, you take the important things and you make everything else your own. And that way, it's just like how you tell a good joke. The important beats you memorize, and everything else you kind of just make your own, so it works. So it's a
Not
really
Sam-
good, and
Sam
we were talking
Jackson,
about was that?
it's what's his name?
Oh, it's right. It's not. I'm sorry. I don't
Randy
know. I
Brooks.
completely. Thank you. Why did I say Sam Jackson? Dang,
Because
okay.
Sam Jackson's
he's
in every other Tarantino movie.
Yeah. Thank you for correcting me on that one.
No problem.
But you're also saying how they hide the identity of Mr. Orange, because at the very beginning, him and Harvey Keitel have this really father-son moment. He's
It is.
dying in the back.
You're
and
okay. You're okay.
you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay.
But
Say
dude,
the
like,
goddamn fucking words. Yeah.
so
I
good.
mean, but it's yeah. So that bond is there. So as the audience, you're like, he can't be it. He's sitting there dying, like bleeding like a stuck pig. And sure enough, when it turns around, he just got caught in a crossfire. It's good. It's
Which
just
is
it's
the way
really
that
good
happens.
misdirection.
Like carjacking some old lady in the 70s with a cookie bush, or that's what this is the 80s that this is happening in. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough.
Was
way
it?
To go.
Yeah. Was it
This movie
supposed?
took place in the 80s? I thought it just took place in 1992.
That's what I thought. It
wondered why
just
the
took
cars
place in
were-
the year of the movie, but I guess I didn't realize. That it was-
Probably could have. I don't know. I thought it seemed like it was a little.
Well, they had
like,
cell
did have the big.
phones.
They had the big fat cell phone. Yeah, so it was probably.
Mr.
yeah,
Orange
early
had a
90s.
smaller like flip phone too with an antenna, or with
Oh,
the one
that's
that
the
flipped out.
StarTAC.
This guy Eddie
Everybody
definitely
loves
did
a
with his
StarTAC.
jumpsuit. He was just
Yeah,
That dude was funny because we didn't really go through the cast, but that's Chris Penn, which is Sean Penn's little brother.
yeah.
I think that's
But
right. Yeah.
I didn't. I recognize his face, but I'm watching this movie and I'm like, why isn't this guy in movie? But he actually passed away like in 2006, like almost 20 years ago, and I'm like, oh,
if they
But-
made like a remake or a sequel or whatever to this movie,
hold on, wait, it's gotta be fucking what's his name?
Jonah Hill.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you.
I was thinking Jonah Hill the whole
Perfect.
time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
is this guy Jonah Hill? I'm like, I know it's
That's so
not,
good.
but it looks like him. He acts
Fucking
like him.
good.
I'm like, okay.
That is
Perfect.
good.
Perfect.
It is holy shit. Wow. I was like, something about him is familiar. It's Jonah
It's
Hill.
Jonah
It's
Hill,
Jonah Hill.
yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Jonah Hill needs to wear a fucking suit. Please. I want to
tracksuit,
see
yeah.
like
The blue jumpsuit. Yeah.
The tracksuit,
Halloween.
yeah,
the tracksuit. Fucking A. That
be
is
pretty good. Pretty
For
good.
being like his first movie too, I'm kind of shocked. We're just saying the cast, like the level of actors that he has in this movie for it being like.
But that's his
his
thing. He's got his own personal
directorial debut.
book. He
But-
doesn't go by Hollywood's book. He goes by his own book. He's like, I like that person because they can act and I can use them in this story.
Yeah, but the fact that
Like,
like
good eye.
Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, Michael Madsen, Steve Buscemi, like, and then he always handpicks like the old guys. Like for Hateful Eight, he was using
Kurt
what's
Russell.
his name? Kurt Russell. Thank you. See,
Mhm.
I'm whiffing on names today, but like the
Yeah.
the actors that he gets for his movies, like you said, they can fucking act. But like, I don't know, even being in the early '90s, like these guys were young, but like they were good and they knew their craft. I
Well,
This
apparently,
movie blew me away with the acting.
I was good. Well, speaking of acting, apparently, Quentin Tarantino himself originally was gonna cast himself as the role of Mr. Pink, but when Steve Buscemi came in and auditioned, he was like,
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi wanted to be Mr. Pink, and Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino was like, the only way you're gonna be Mr. Pink is if you blow this audition out of the water, and he did. So he was just obviously blown away by Steve Buscemi's acting. So he's like, all right, you can have this part.
I've already confessed my fave is Mr. Pink. Sometimes it's Mr. White, but I think it's Pink. Does anybody else have a fave guy?
It's tough. I don't know. I feel like the easy pick is Mr. White. But
Which is great.
I
great.
just love Harvey Keitel's character. Like, it's just so good. Like his like we
I
were
love
saying
the-
before, he has a code. He's not just like a cold-blooded criminal,
Mhm.
Like this, he's a career criminal. He knows what he's doing, and he has a set of morals that he lives by. And if someone disagrees with him, he's willing to stand up for it and fight for it. So
I really like the Pink. Mr. Pink is probably my favorite because I'm a huge Steve Buscemi fan. He's just again national treasure. But I love
Yes.
the boss, the main
Yeah,
boss
Joe,
character. Joe, yeah, thank you.
Joe.
I love the fact that your first introduction to him is in that diner scene, and he's clearly the boss. Like, you got pay for your goddamn breakfast. Like he's the
Yeah.
boss.
Yep.
But the next time
Yeah.
you see him, he's on the phone with somebody saying, "Don't worry about it. You had a couple bad months. That's fine. Pay me when you can." And here you go. He's this mob boss, let's say mob boss. He's not breaking kneecaps because you didn't pay him on time. He's saying, "You had a couple bad months. It's okay. Get back to me." And that's creating a really cool character that you like. I like this guy, even though he's running a crime syndicate of some sort, fencing diamonds and whatnot. And I just love his delivery, and
Yeah.
every scene he's in, he kind of steals, especially in that scene where they're kind of planning the caper.
Mhm.
And it's whole back and forth, Mr. Pink. It's
Oh,
my
yeah.
way or the highway. What's it gonna be, Mr. Pink? It's he just commands a presence. Like he's the boss. He's in charge. And I'll laugh and roll around with you guys when it's done. But I love that
Yeah.
just mix of
He's
someone
good.
who's clearly dangerous and very fun. Kind of like, if I may just go back 2 seconds to Mr. Blonde, where you were saying how cool it is that he was a crazy person, but you don't really know it. There's really nothing scarier than the psycho you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's the psycho you can't see. He comes in, he's completely in control, but
Right.
he's completely unhinged. And that's why there's that one moment when he's approaching the cop. And I think he like pushes the chair out of the way, but does it violently. Like he violently pushes something out of the way. I think it was like a chair or something. And it gives you this jump like, okay, this guy means business. Again, it's just that control is really, really cool.
When what is it? Pink and White leave with nice guy Eddie to go get the diamonds or whatever. Like the camera stays in that same spot, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Blonde's up there smoking a cigarette, and all of a sudden you just see his head just go boop and just like poke back over towards the cop, and you're like, oh, this guy's gonna do like.
It's like he was waiting for
if
them
I say
to
Mr.
leave.
Blonde is my favorite, does that make me fucked up?
Yeah, you're a psycho.
No, I'm just kidding. You gotta love Mr. White. Gotta love Mr. White. Mr. White feels like he should be like a character in a GTA game or something like that. Like
He's Michael from GTA 5.
Yeah, like a likable
Yeah.
crime lifer. I don't know what you want to call him, but
Yeah, a lifer. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, like a lifer. Like this is just my gig. It's a job.
That's what he does. Yeah.
Mr. Pink is the smartest, though. Let's be honest. He was right the whole goddamn time. And I mean, if he was smarter, he would have just left. He would have trusted his instincts. But he even admits that earlier, like when he was talking about the job, saying that he knew that something was wrong, and and should have followed his own instincts. And at the end, well, spoiler alert: does he get murdered when he leaves the building? Does he leave the warehouse with the diamond?
It's implied. You can hear the sirens. You can hear the gunfire after he leaves.
Is there gunfire after he leaves?
Yeah, there's gunfire.
Okay.
Go back when both White and Orange are having their last moment together, and they're both bloody, and they're like holding each other
right before the cops come in.
You'll hear it. You're like, put it up. They're like, you can hear the cops muffled yelling somebody and shots going off. Did he make it? Maybe he is lucky. He was being shot at throughout the whole movie. He's the only one that doesn't have a blood on him. So it's I'm not convinced. I think it's more fun if he makes it, just because it goes against everybody's theory that he didn't make it. But we also don't know if Orange dies. Like he purposely moves the camera to White. Now I'm sure he probably shot Orange in the head because he's like, fuck it, and I'm gonna take you out. Yeah. But we don't see it. He could have shot. He could have done this. He could have done that. He could have done anything. He could have just shot in frustration. He said, "I'll just fucking die. Enough people have died." I don't know.
I have a question.
He'll kill cops. So this is the one that's like the rat. But
I have a question.
No.
Why do you think Orange told White he was a cop?
Because, dude, he took care of him in his last hours of
the father
life.
figure.
And he's like, this is a good guy. Like, yeah, he did bad things. He did kill other cops, but like, there is a good man in some way. And he truly cared about me. I think at that moment, there's a brotherhood.
I think it's
He's
partly
a Brewers fan. That's why.
Partly that. Partly, I think Mr. Orange feels absolutely terrible for everything that he caused. You can tell. I mean, obviously, when he shoots the lady when they're doing the carjacking, like, you can see the look on his face, and he feels like,
just kills him.
Like he had to do it, or else he would have, he would have been. I guess he didn't have to do it, but like, it was more of a reactionary thing, He had a gun in his hand, he got shot, so it was just a mistake. And then he's the cause of the Mexican standoff at the end, where everybody else dies. So I think he's just like. He's like, all right, this has gone far enough. I just need to come clean.
Can we talk about the Mexican standoff real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I want to get some clarity about what happened here.
I also do. This was another one of my questions.
Joe is pointing at Orange.
Yes.
White is pointing at Joe.
So did I. Yeah. I rewound it. I'm like, what happened here?
Nice guy Eddie.
Exactly. Nice guy that is my question too.
My question.
No, White shot both.
Okay.
That's what I assumed. But Joe was pointed at White. White was pointed at Joe. Eddie was pointed at White. So
Joe was aiming at Orange.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And White was aiming at Joe. So yeah, it must have been White shot both Eddie and Joe, like boom boom. Because there was nobody else there with a gun pointed at either of them.
Pink
I'm not
was
1,000%
there.
sure.
He was there,
But-
but he was hiding under the stairs like a little bitch.
No, Pink didn't do.
No,
If
fucking
anything,
being smart.
Orange. And Orange always had a gun on him. It
Yeah,
is
but
loaded.
he used
shot
all
Blonde.
his
He used all-
ammo
yeah.
when he shot Blonde.
But didn't he load it up again? And he was like freaking out because he was like getting ready to shoot him again. Wasn't he like? I could've
I think he
sworn
was
put
he
another
was
one in.
empty.
Put
He had
another
a
one
he didn't have anything in there.
Oh, it is interesting.
I did.
worth
I
a
rewound that
rewatch.
scene like 5 times too. I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
Who shot who?
You rewind it and it goes back 10 seconds and it's always Eddie. It's
Yep.
like Sam or Bill, whatever he says is real, and it's like, stop aiming at my dad.
Yeah, Larry- yeah.
and,
Yep.
and then I kept rewinding and I kept going to that line. But yeah, that all happens at the very end of the movie. It's just like, oh fuck, they all just died.
Mhm.
And then Pink comes out. And he's just like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
Grabs
he's just
the-
like self-preservation at that point. Yeah.
So he grabs the diamonds. People think he gets killed, but here's the thing: there is a true connection to Pulp Fiction. There is a Tarantino verse, right?
Mhm.
So
Sure.
they always say Marcel Wallace is hunting down the diamonds in that bag, or it's his soul or whatever, but he's going for that briefcase in Pulp Fiction. And he opens up and he sees the yellow thing. So is it the diamonds? We don't know. Some people say that's that. But most importantly, Mr. Blonde, we learn his name. It's the same last name as John Travolta's character's name in Pulp Fiction. So Pulp Fiction and
brothers.
Reservoir Dogs hit.
It's
they're
confirmed.
brothers.
Tarantino said they're brothers, and he was planning on making a prequel movie starring John Travolta and Michael
That would have been
Madsen.
sick.
That would have been
As
good.
brothers,
I would have
but-
liked that.
That would have been cool.
By the time he wanted to make it, they were both too old, so he scrapped the whole thing.
Okay.
But yeah,
Wah,
he
wah.
planned on doing that, which would have been
There's
sweet.
something else with like one
So,
of
but
the
that's
radio
but that means that
ads.
Pink got away, though. Sorry, but that just means that Pink got away, right? Because if the diamonds, that's what's in the briefcase, if that's what's
Technically.
in the briefcase. But sorry,
That's
So, but when Mr.
speculation.
Pink, because Mr. Pink stashes the diamonds though, because that's what he says. Because he says, "Where are the diamonds?" Oh, I stashed them, and
But he
that's
brings
when
them
Harvey Keitel
back.
towards the beginning. He does bring it back.
Yeah, because
When he
Eddie's
drops
like
when they go
car
to
off.
drop
Okay.
off the cars.
Eddie tells them like
Right.
bring back the diamonds to the where, so they do go get the bag.
I think he survives. I think he
It's
survives.
more fun to think he
And-
survives for sure.
I think that's just a fiction I'm choosing, but I think he survives. And I think someone mentioned the final song of the movie, which is "Lime and the Coconut." It kind of
that
has
song.
this almost like tropical vibe where it's like he's
Oh,
on
yeah.
vacation
He ran
and
away.
he has
Yeah,
the
he got
diamonds.
away.
He got away,
Okay.
and now he's got the lime and the coconut. Of course, it's a cute thing about the bellyache. You know, you can make that connection with Mr. Orange and his little bellyache. But
Oh,
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
never
I'm
thought of
reading
that.
into
That's
it.
cool.
I may be making my own fiction. I'm
I
just
didn't-
choosing.
I didn't get that, but I could see it. That's interesting.
I mean, with Tarantino,
never
there
know.
are
Never know.
layers.
You
The
never know.
guy is very crafty when he picks a song. Nilsson
Very
Schmilsson,
intentional.
right? Whatever album that was.
Yep.
Yeah, great song.
Also, I wanted to
The
clear
line.
another thing up. It's implied that Orange shot and killed Brown, right?
No.
I don't think
no,
so.
Orange was not trying to get
So then
anybody
I don't
killed.
understand
He
what
wanted them to
happened in
get
that
a-
scene then.
He's trying to draw Joe. So why would he kill any of those guys?
How did Brown die then? I don't understand.
He got shot up when the cops
He had,
showed
like,
up and they had
his
like all
head
these
was already
cops were
bleeding.
shooting at them.
Yeah, but he didn't get shot in the head at that point.
I think they said he
had
got
a
shot in the head at some point.
He was bleeding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
getting
he
in
was
his eyes and I
bleeding
can't
from the.
see.
Yeah, but okay, so let's go back to that scene. He was bleeding. If he had gotten shot in the head at that point, he would already be dead. So it must have been some other injury.
Not in the head, but maybe it went off his head.
I don't buy
He's
it.
only mostly dead when he's driving.
Dude, who knows? It could have
'Cause,
nicked a
yeah,
part of his
they
head. and
crashed
he
the
had a slow
car.
death.
White jumps out, shoots at the cops, and then by the time he gets back, Brown's dead. And the only other one
Right, I think
standing there was Orange.
He crashed the car because he's like losing blood and he can't see and he doesn't know what the fuck.
Yeah, blood in his eyes. I think it was. Yeah.
I mean, he
Yeah,
probably was
blood in his
also
eyes,
just
I
losing
think
his
it was.
vision because his body was dying. Like he
Yeah.
probably just
I don't buy
took
it.
a bullet
If
somewhere.
he was shot in the head, he would be dead.
I'm glad because I don't know if this is just me, but I really can't stand Tarantino acting, and
It's really bad in Pulp Fiction.
I can't stand it.
Yee.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
it
not
is
great.
kinda-
He's not
It
great.
is cringy, but it's almost like he gives himself like trying to be edgy lines where Pulp Fiction has a couple of them, but this one where he's talking about the Madonna song where he just wanted to be the one saying the vulgar stuff.
Right.
Or, I don't know. Just Tarantino in his own his movies bugs me. I should watch From Dusk Till Dawn again to see like him outside of his movies, but
Well, he's in the first half of that movie, and that's actually his best acting, I think. He's
yeah,
actually,
but that's
'cause he
not
doesn't
one
really
of his
talk.
movies though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, Rodriguez did that?
I was gonna say
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez did that one. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That
I
has
think
vampires in
Tarantino
it
wrote it
somehow.
though. I'm pretty sure Tarantino wrote it.
Yes. He
I'm
did
not-
the
Oh,
screenplay, I believe.
because he put the feet in his own mouth. That's another one.
Indeed,
There you go.
as you
I
would.
forgot about that. There we go.
I made an edit, so you know how Selma Hayek just
Yeah.
signed up to be in the movie. So I was thinking this would be a really cool scene. Like, dude, it's like, I'm like a rising director, right? Like I'm pretty much leading Hollywood right now. So he's like,
Sure.
I can do this.
I deserve the feet in my mouth. I think I've earned it at this point.
Yeah.
Gross.
Not to sound like a perv, but Selma Hayek has aged incredibly well. Just throwing that out there, because Hollywood does like chew up and spit out some of these female actors.
She was in
And
the
she
new
has
season of
aged.
Black Mirror, and she looked fantastic.
Really?
She looks fantastic.
Black
She's like
Mirror's-
56, so good for her
Yeah.
Yeah, good for her.
Sure.
Awesome.
and her millions of dollars.
Yes.
Anyway.
All the money.
So I think we could. I mean, a lot of people have seen this movie. We're really just kind of reacting to it. I would like to let Bill have a moment. Just, you were asked to be on this episode. Is there a story you have, or like what is it about this movie that maybe you would like to just kind of gush about, or talk about, or hit on, or anything really?
Yeah, man. So I think my first Tarantino exposure was like everyone else with Pulp Fiction. And once you see Pulp Fiction, now you're enamored with Tarantino as a director. And I think Reservoir Dogs was right after that. And I've seen this movie dozens and dozens of times. I used to, my first job out of college, I traveled 2/3 of the year. And I was always in different cities and states for 4 to 6 months 4 to 6 weeks at a stretch. And I always brought with me a DVD player that I would, of course, connect up to whatever hotel TV I had. I would bring like little bolt cutters, because back in the old days of TVs and hotels, they'd have a little connection on the back of it where you couldn't take off the coax and connect something else, because they want you to buy their movies. So I'd bring a little tool that could like snap the thing off. So I was there for 6 weeks, right? And I would bring a DVD player and a binder of DVDs, and Reservoir Dogs was always on that. It was one of my comfort
Nice.
food movies for years. So I've seen this
wow.
movie probably, without exaggeration, maybe 50 times. I couldn't tell you.
Oh my goodness.
And
Wow.
this is one of those movies that you see. Now, I'm not a filmmaker. I have done some writing in my past. I've done some short fiction in my past. My brother's a filmmaker. He's an editor. He's a professional editor.
Oh, I love it.
This is one of those movies you look at and you say, well, I think I could do this. Like, it has such a, and it's one of those movies where you look at this, you're like, I could probably do this. I can get some friends together who are pretty good actors. I can get some scenes, and you're not going to be as good as Tarantino, but it has this well-worn sensibility to it. It feels very lived in. And watching it again for this recording, I was just again really struck on again how good, of course, he is at dialogue, but how natural and fun these crazy characters are, and how adept he is at pacing too. He's a master of pacing
Master
in
at
all
it,
of his
yeah.
movies. He understands pacing better than most directors, and which is vital when you have a movie that's basically shot in one room for the most
No,
part
it's like
of
a
it,
stage
with
play.
some exceptions. Yeah, it's like a stage play. Exactly right. So this movie I have a lot of heart for. I just have a lot of heart for it because I think, and I've seen every Tarantino movie multiple times. This is probably top 3 or top 4. I mean, my favorite's Jackie Brown. I
Yep.
just adore that movie so much. I know it sounds like me trying to be a cool kid. And again, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think is absolutely wonderful. But this is
Good,
probably number
right?
3 or 4. Oh, it's great.
Okay.
Oh, so good. Oh, it's so good.
Isn't it so
One of the
good?
better. Yeah. So for me, this is one of those movies where I just have a lot of heart for it because it kept me a lot of company during 3 years of my life, my early 20s, where I was always away traveling to different places. And again, it's a short movie relatively. It's comfort food, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I could put it on and just watch it and eat chips and be at home with this and really enjoy it. So I love this movie. It's
There you
fantastic.
go.
So, how do you feel about? I mean, I don't think it's going to happen now. But did you hear the rumor where Tarantino was going to do a Star Trek movie because he's a big Star Trek fan?
Oh,
And when I first heard that, I thought like, I mean, that's weird. I'm okay with weird. But then I thought about it, I was like, well, fuck. Star Trek is all talking. It really is. It's not like Star Wars with lightsabers over lava planets. You know, it's totally different. Star Trek is a lot of like sitting down in a battle of wits. And it's like, man, could you imagine having Tarantino doing a Star Trek movie? It probably would be awesome, but
I think it'd be great. I would
That would be
love to see a
fantastic.
That would
Tarantino
get me into Star Trek.
And I'm really like Star Trek. I'm more Star Trek than Star Wars. Star Wars, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's fine. But I really like Star Trek. And I just, for exactly that reason, I think his sense of dialogue, his adeptness at pacing, and I just think he would really do Star Trek well. It wouldn't be
some
like a Josh
violence.
Abrams. And it'd be violent. I mean, it'd be violence. It'd be pretty cool, right? I mean,
Klingon bite somebody's nose off. Who knows what he's gonna throw in there?
yeah, Klingon drops the F word. Just like, did that just happen?
it's all in Klingon, so it's like subtitled, you know?
Yeah.
It's like drinking like a soda, flicking a cigarette. Like, what is going on with that Klingon?
He's got his little botfla, whatever that stupid blade thing is in his
Batla.
hand,
Yeah.
picking his teeth. I think it'd be really cool, and because again, he loves genres, and he's a genre guy, and every one of his movies is a adaptation of a genre in his own vision. And I would love to see him do Space Saga. I would definitely take Tarantino Star Trek over, Abrams Star Trek was really just
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars.
Yeah.
Which I like those movies too. They're actually fine, those movies, but yeah, I would love to see him just take a stab at that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think he has one movie left, The
I
Critic.
think that's right.
Oh,
So I have-
please.
that
He's
would
not
be
even
hope-
that old. He'll be back. Like it's like fucking
Yeah,
like Jay-Z saying he's retiring. Like we're gonna be back with a fucking album in like 3 years. Just stop it.
well,
Let's see how
we'll
old he
see.
is.
I hope
He's only
pulls a-
60,
Right, I know,
so
and
he
like
ain't fucking done.
I hope not, because we need
too.
Tarantino in Hollywood, and
Yeah.
he's allowed to have a couple bad movies. Like he hasn't done it yet, so go ahead, keep doing it, man. Don't do a rom com, but like just keep playing with those
Yeah,
genres, man. Do a found
that would be
footage. I don't care what you do, man. Just don't give up.
Found footage. So, what would you guys say? Not to get too into a Tarantino conversation, what would you say his weakest movie is? If you've seen all of them, I don't know if you've seen all
I
of them.
have. It's Kill Bill 2.
Really, I like Kill Bill
Mm.
too. I
Yeah,
Journey's
really
better
like
than
I
the
it.
can see that.
destination. Yeah, no,
Interesting.
it's personal.
Interesting.
I thought all the better characters and the battles and the boss fights or whatever were in the first one. The Japanese thing, the anime scene, all that stuff was in the first one, and the second one was just like it didn't do anything different. I don't remember any of the music. I don't remember anything other than like the one finger punch and like the snake scene in the trailer. I was just personally,
Mhm.
I was expecting more because I love the first one so much that I thought the second one would be like
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
so
looking,
it's more of the same if not as good. But
yeah, it's tough because I love pretty much all the other ones. So I love Kill Bill, like I said. But yeah, I might agree. Volume 2 might be just looking at the other ones that I love. Django. I love Django. I love Inglourious Bastards. Like
Like,
Once
Oh
Upon
my
a
God,
Time in
Inglourious
Hollywood
Basterds
is
Death Proof
great.
really
it was
is-
incredible.
is
I-
top, though. I don't know.
Death Proof,
Yeah.
I guess, is the other one I haven't seen.
I
Death
haven't
Proof it's
seen Jackie
great.
Brown in so long, but is it?
Death
Is that the one
Proof
where,
is so
It's fun.
good.
where,
It's super
they're
fun.
driving down the
It's-
street and he turns off the
it's short
lights
and
and there's the head-on collision and the leg gets
Yeah, but
okay.
look at the
All right, I
production
kind of
of it
vaguely remember
and
that.
why he made it, like what he went to do, like what he wanted to do, and then what he did. I think he delivered. Like you can judge it on what it is, but that's not what he's trying. He's not trying to say this is like one of the films that I always make. This is not. It's like a grindhouse flick. Is an homage. He just wanted to do one, and Kurt Russell was not being casted at that point, so he threw him in that movie, and like he got back into Hollywood, and he started doing all the movies. And then the stunt woman, the Australian woman that's in Hateful Eight, that gets killed.
Mhm.
She's the woman that does a stunt. She's a stunt actor, and
shit.
she did, and it was like a legit stunt scene that they did with that on the hood of the car kind of thing. So I give
don't
him
really
a lot of
remember
props
it,
for that.
but yeah.
Just because of the production.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think for me, I think Hateful Eight. I don't love Hateful Eight. I
No?
don't
Yes,
love it. It's
people
probably
have
the weakest
issues
for
with
me.
it.
I don't love it. I think it's overlong. I think he's talky, which is kind of what he does. But I don't know. It's the only one I haven't seen multiple times.
Oh, there's a director's
I-
cut that I watched last
It's a
time.
commitment
there?
to watch it.
I wonder.
Too.
Is that the Netflix one that's like they
Yeah.
break it into 4 1-hour
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right.
episodes essentially?
Extended
Okay,
version.
that might be
Yeah.
better then.
Which
Maybe
is
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Maybe change my opinion.
Could break it up.
But yeah,
bite-sized
he's
chunks.
But his weak movie is most people's great movie. So it's like we're talking, the work of masters here. So it's hard to, it's hard to say
yeah.
a bad movie from Tarantino. Yeah.
You're comparing Hateful Eight against Reservoir Dogs and
Yeah,
Jackie
right. And Pulp
Brown.
Fiction, which
Pulp
is
Fiction.
capital
Yeah.
I important. Yeah.
Right. So like it's good, but it's like when we were talking about Arnold in the last, like how is it good amongst other Arnold movies? Stuff like that.
Right.
It's just like
Right.
compare it with their work.
Is that the same thing? I don't know. Arnold's had some stinkers.
I'm just saying, like you compare.
Well,
Well,
that's had some
yeah,
rough,
Yeah.
rough
Yes.
patches.
There's definitely more going on with Tarantino than
It's definitely.
Schwarzenegger.
It makes me want to go back and watch some of the. First of all, finish out the Tarantino movies I haven't seen. Jackie Brown definitely is on the top of the list. And some of the ones I
If we do
haven't
Jackie
seen.
Brown,
in
we'll
a
get
long
Bill
time.
back on for that.
Yeah,
Yes,
that would be
please
great.
do. Jackie Brown's interesting. It's very atypical. It's not what you would expect from a Tarantino movie. It's a
Chris
slow
Tucker in
burn.
it.
Yeah.
But it's great. I adore it. So
I haven't seen some of my favorites in a long time, like Kill Bill. I don't remember the last time
Yeah.
I saw it. It's been a while. Inglourious Bastards too. Yeah, I want to go back and watch some more Tarantino now.
That's it. Make it happen.
All right, I think we're good on this heist. Mission complete. No, it was a failure. It was.
They
utter
all died.
failure.
Everybody
Horrible
died.
failure.
We're all dying.
No survivors.
Pink. I'm pink. I'm out of here. Yeah, that was fun. It's always easy to talk about Tarantino movies. But let's shift. Let's get out of the movie world because Bill is on this episode. He says he's not good at video game trivia, but I think you'd be okay.
All right.
With what we're gonna do.
I'm
So we're
game.
gonna we'll take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna do a quick round of video game 20 questions.
Woo.
All right, we're back. Act 3. We're gonna be playing video game 20 questions. So if nobody knows what that is or what the rules are, I have a video game in my head, and these three have to figure out what it is, but they have 20 questions to do it. All they can ask is questions where I can say yes or no to. So technically 19 questions, and then the last one, you need to make your guess. And you can't guess early, because once you do, game over. So really make sure you know what it is. Work together, guys, and good luck.
Started off like usual. Was this game released after the year 2000?
No.
All right.
Okay, so early game. Okay.
Did your wife give you this suggestion?
That doesn't count as a question.
I'm asking the question. I want to know.
Oh my god. So I did ask my wife, and she gave me an answer, and I'm like, I don't know if I can go with that one. So if I remember, I'll tell you what it was.
Okay.
But
all right.
no.
Well, we won't count that one. Oh, we are
No,
going to count. Okay.
what?
No. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Counting
a waste
it.
of
We're
a
doing-
I'm
question.
counting it.
Nope.
You asked.
Okay. Well, you gave me an answer. I thought you were going to not give me an answer.
My
there.
wife did not pick this game.
All right.
Okay.
I
Great.
gotta narrow down years. Was this released before 1990?
Yes.
Oh damn. Okay.
All right. We got an oldie.
Eric's shit.
Before 1990.
Stop
I'm assuming
Mario,
it's an
I don't know.
80s game. I don't think Brandon would go 70s.
I was thinking we might get a GTA or something like that to kind of tie into the episodes of Reservoir Dogs. But
Was
Ooh, good
sorry, I'm
point.
taking all the questions up, but was this game released on a Nintendo console?
Yes.
Okay.
so it has to be NES. Like Super NES was until the 90s, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So this is NES.
It's gotta be NES.
Was
Or-
this game only released on a Nintendo console?
Yeah, exclusive.
Yes.
Is it exclusive?
Good
Okay, so
question,
Nintendo
good
exclusive.
Was this
Yeah.
game part of a franchise?
Mm-hmm. Like it.
Like what does that mean again? Like how do we define that?
It's
I don't
like
know.
there are
a
multiple
series. If
entries
there are
in
multiple
this.
entries in a series, yeah.
No.
So
Okay.
is it?
This is-
It's got. I'm
okay.
assuming he got tripped because it's probably a licensed game then.
Is it a license game?
Yes.
Ah,
All right, I just helped
okay.
you guys out big time there. All right.
Yeah.
Can you do it in 10 questions?
We got
Probably
like,
it's probably Teenage
Any-
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
what? 10.
Tricked ya.
Oh, franchise. It's a
There's a lot of
franchise.
license game. There's a lot of licensed ones.
There is a
Probably
lot
like
of licensed
80s.
games on the NES
Like
for sure.
we could go like
But
is it licensed after a
exclusive?
movie? Was it licensed?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's got to be like a movie.
Got to know the proper
license.
property.
Because it's not going to be a book, I don't think. But
Probably not. It's
all right,
most
yeah,
likely a
what-
movie, but or TV show or whatever comic.
was this
Is it-
based on a
oh.
movie? I want to narrow this down. Is it like based off of like a
Yes.
So it's based off a
Yes.
movie. So it's a movie licensed game. Okay. All right, that
Yeah.
took away a couple of mine.
okay? No,
Oh,
Could be Back to the Future.
no. Here's
no,
my
it's a
question.
franchise.
Did the movie have Arnold Schwarzenegger in it?
Oh my
Yeah, but-
God. No.
Dave,
No.
No. Okay.
Dave,
That's
No Arnold.
you
You're
said
right,
the-
Eric, though,
the-
because there's only one Back to the Future game.
Yeah,
But
the game
yeah.
is not a
There's actually more than one.
franchise, but the movie might be a franchise.
that's true.
So yeah, I'm thinking Back to the Future, Fester's Quest.
Fester's Quest.
That's
Everybody got that one.
That's
from
not really a
Blockbuster once.
movie, but
That was a fucking disappointing weekend. The weekend you brought home Fester's.
Jaws. Oh, Jaws NES game. I know Brandon likes that
Ooh,
one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I like that
well,
one,
I
too.
don't
I'm looking
know,
for
was there
tells here
multiple-
on the Discord. I'm looking for tells.
Was there multiple Jaws games? I don't think there
No,
was.
I don't think
No,
so. Not on
just
the
one.
NES.
Just one.
Uh,
hmm
Goonies
Goonies.
was a NES. That was a good NES game actually.
Yeah.
What else we got? It's too early to be Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Jurassic
Yeah.
Park wasn't on the. That was 90s. Jurassic
It was
Park.
SNES.
Game Boy. I remember the Jurassic Park Game Boy game.
So we established it's a movie. Did we say that is the game in a series of franchise or the movie is a franchise? Because I know you were asking that. That
I
was
think I asked, is
game.
this a franchise, like multiple entries
Right.
in a game series? And he said no.
okay. Okay. So
Because that
this
was
is not. So
before
there's
we
only
knew it was
been
a
one.
movie.
Right.
Gotcha. So it's based off one game, one NES game. There wasn't like 3 or 4 based
Yeah.
off this movie. Okay. Okay.
So I were crossing out Turtles, I believe. Well, Turtles wasn't a movie.
Yes,
adaptation
you have to.
either,
Yeah, you
so-
have to cross off Turtles because there's multiple Turtles games for NES.
I have a good feeling about
Um,
Jaws.
I do.
Jaws
too.
is a good one. Here's the. Well, he got 10 more questions. Does the game feature a fish?
You guys fucking suck.
Oh!
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you nailed it.
What other?
We have more questions to ask. We want to. If you want to really make him squirm.
Is there I don't know. Are you a diver in this game shooting fish with your harpoon gun?
Let me check. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Then I think we've narrowed it down. I will let go for it, Eric.
Unreal.
'cause You
Is it
nailed it.
Jaws on the
It's
NES?
Jaws. It is Jaws.
Nicely
Alright.
done,
Oh
Eric.
my god. Or 11 or 12. Oh my god. You guys.
So
how did
funny.
you-
So you're a big Jaws fan, Brandon. Okay.
I think Jaws is like movie perfection.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close to a perfect movie.
It's just the opening 5 minutes world building is just masterful. You can learn so much about why everything matters later on because of how important it is in that opening scene. I just like every time I watch it, I'm like, my God, I can see why this guy is like one of the greats.
cool.
It's so good, so good.
Yeah.
I love Jaws. I love it.
So do you
I
think
think
the
it's great.
Jaws NES game did the movie justice?
No, it fucking sucks. And
It was so hard. I hated that game.
I want.
I
a
liked
game-
it, but I
brutal.
also hated it.
And I always talk about
Yeah.
how like I want a modern day game where you are Brody, Sheriff Brody, and you have to. You're not. It has nothing. There's the shark, but you're not dealing with the shark that much. It's a horror game, but it's very chill, and you're really trying to just be a sheriff on this small tourist island, and you're dealing with and it could be like Telltale where there's a lot of dialogue things. You're trying to make decisions. Go here or go here. Go here or go here. But I want really good graphics, or at least maybe artsy direction where it's like maybe cartoony, but something high fidelity, something that looks really good. And then there's always the fear that the shark could be there, and it's like randomly generated. So if somebody's out, you're like trying to get like you don't know. And I think the deep going in the water and solving things, I think it could be some of the scariest shit ever. I would love to see a Jaws video game. It's like the game I want to see somebody remake today. Don't remake it as a movie. Don't give me a TV show. Give me something on the PS5 or the Xbox, just something fucking good that captures that feeling of that movie and make me the sheriff
It's not like
and
a
not shoot
quantic,
torpedo or fucking arrows at
Harpoons.
Fish.
Yeah.
harpoons.
Aquatic Dream Jaws movie or Jaws game. Essentially like Heavy Rain, like that kind
Narrative,
of style.
yeah, narrative driven.
Narrative focus.
That's
Let's
not
leave
bad.
David Cage out of this.
Yeah,
David
well,
Cage,
yeah, we don't need
He can
him.
just not make games anymore.
Just
David
that
Cage.
genre.
I'm
Oh, that's
genre,
right. He's a
yeah.
scumbag. I forgot about that happened. Yeah.
not a
Well-
fan of David Cage. He's yeah. But anyway, I would love a Jaws movie where you play as the mayor and you're trying to keep this small beach town open, like a Sim City, with this shark happening. Like, how do I keep this hot dog stands open? And the tourism's a problem. Like, I want like a city
be cool.
sim around that.
You gotta, yeah.
Call me
You gotta
crazy.
entice the drunk fishermen to stay out of the water.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. You got that real quick. Way quicker than I thought. But I thought I would throw you off with it being Jaws. Eric knows me too well. I really you guys always get me.
Played right into,
know me too
played
well.
right into our hands.
I think I did like Dumb and Dumber for a movie, and Eric's like, it's probably like Dumb and Dumber, and he like, I was like, you guys. And then the joke about Ninja Turtles is I accidentally did Ninja Turtles twice or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just like
Almost. I think it might have been 3 times. I'm not even kidding.
get out of here, get out of here, and do it 3 times.
I swear.
Before we wrap up, Eric, Bill, again, if you want to just like, and people, please check out his show. It's well produced. It's like every episode is like a documentary. But yeah, if you want to shout out anything you got going on, and you got your own Discord and all that stuff, go for it.
Yeah. So if you enjoy video games and listening to old people like me talk about said video games, this show is entitled "A Gamer Looks at 40." It's basically like an oral history of video games as told through the stories and recollections of the people that actually lived it. So it's more about the stories of how games affected people's lives, why they love them, as opposed to nuts and bolts kind of analysis like a traditional review show would be. Kind of gets to that heart and soul of the medium as opposed to kind of those nuts and bolts. It's like you said, Brandon, every show could have up to 10 or 12 different people, different walks of life, different experiences all around a certain game or series or experience. Coming up, I'm not sure when this is going to air next week, right? So at the time of this recording, a few days. Okay. So at the time of this recording, there should be the first of 2 episodes about renting games. People telling stories about where they rented games, what they got, the games they fell in love with. Those disappointments, Dave, that like Fester's Quest, those disappointments that ruined your weekend. There's 2 episodes on that, and then after that, it'll be a 3-episode series on Earthbound. And then after that, I'm diving into every Final Fantasy game. It's going to take 6 months, and it's kind of like my Zelda series that took 6 months, where I went through every single Zelda game, and it's going to be a big one.
You're a
but
man.
yeah, that's kind of what we have going on until the end of the year. And so if you enjoy that, Twitter is where I mainly do my social media-ing. So A Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter. Linktree in the bio. Do all the podcasty stuff. And please check out the show. It's if you like nostalgic stuff and you want to hear people tell stories about said nostalgic things, I think it's right up your alley.
It's
Nice.
not Twitter. It's X, guys.
Ugh,
Listen,
Send me an
Elon,
axe, bro.
if you're listening,
if
I
you're
refuse.
listening,
He
refuse to
listens to
play.
the show.
I refuse to play your silly games, Elon Musk.
That's wild.
I commend you.
Well, anyway, speaking of
I commend
X,
you, Bill, for everything you do for your show. It's really impressive.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, take us home, Eric.
All right. Well, if you want to follow us, did you just fart? I swear to God, I
It
heard.
was probably me leaning back in the chair here.
Oh, yeah, that
There it
definitely
is.
does sound like a fart.
Yeah.
All right. Stop it. I'm trying to do my outro. If you want to follow us on X, Twitter, at Nomads of Fantasy, on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to watch us on YouTube, like one person is right now, youtube.com at Nomads of Fantasy, or
How you doing? How you
twitch.tv/Nomads of Fantasy. If you want to see us live. Otherwise, you can join our Discord, the nomadsfantasy.com/Discord. You can play our game that we made called What Map Game. If you go to whatmapgame.com, if you like video game maps and trying to guess which ones they are. So it's
What
fun.
is a video game map? I don't
What is
define
it?
that. That's an old Discord discussion we've had today.
Yep. So hop in the Discord, post your what map results, and yeah, have a good time. But other than that, that's all I got for you. So, as always, safe travels, nomads.
Motherfucker. It's a Tarantino episode. You